Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm going to go my review of Monday Night Raw. Starting off the night, man, we got Jey Uso coming out to the ring, grabs a microphone. Jey says that he should have been World Heavyweight Champion. Jey also says that he doesn't play about his family. Don't mention his family. Don't play around with his family. Jey then calls out the Vision. LA Knight is here. He interrupts Jey Uso. Knight gets in the ring, grabs a microphone. Knight talks about losing at Clash in Paris. Knight says that Rollins lives in Becky's shadow. Knight also then blames Jey Uso for not taking out Seth Rollins. After that, they're both interrupted by the Vision. Braun then mocks LA Knight. Braun says that him and Reed are dogs that are unleashed now that Paul Heyman is not here. Reed says that he wants fans to acknowledge him. Fans then boo Reed. They chant OTC. Reed then mocks Jey and LA Knight, and it seems as if Reed and Braun Breaker want a tag team matchup later on in the night against Jey Uso and LA Knight. Moving on from that, we go into our first official match of Monday Night Raw. It's Raquel Rodriguez teaming up with Roxanne Perez to take on the Kabuki Warriors. I thought it was a decent match, back and forth matchup between both teams, with the Kabuki Warriors keeping the pace of the match. Perez then hits a springboard moonsault, followed by Kairi Sane hitting an insane elbow off the top rope onto Raquel Rodriguez to the outside. But Asuka then applies an Asuka lock on Roxanne Perez. Perez taps out, and your winners of the match are the Kabuki Warriors. Hats off to the Kabuki Warriors for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we got an announcement from Adam Pearce, the general manager of Monday Night Raw. He announces that it will be, in fact, Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky for the vacant Women's World Heavyweight Championship at WrestlePalooza, taking place September 20th. Moving on from that, we got Dragon Lee taking on Finn Balor. I thought this was actually a really good match. Back and forth matchup between Lee and Balor, with Balor keeping the pace of the match. Lee hits a Hurricane Rana on Balor in the middle of the ring, followed by Lee hitting a power bomb on Balor for a near fall. Lee then hits a Hurricane Rana off the apron on JD McDonough, sending JD off the apron to the outside. But Finn Balor capitalizes on this by going to the top rope, hitting a coup de grace on Dragon Lee, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Finn Balor. Hats off to Finn Balor for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got a 6-man tag team matchup. It is the New Day teaming up with Grayson Waller, taking on the War Raiders and Penta. The match itself, I thought, was a good match. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with the War Raiders and Penta keeping the pace of the match, with Penta ultimately hitting a destroyer in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are the War Raiders and Penta. Hats off to the War Raiders and Penta for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we got an Intercontinental Championship match. It's Dominic Mysterio defending the Intercontinental title against AJ Styles. This is a little bit of a grudge match here. AJ Styles has been chasing after the Intercontinental Championship. But the match itself, it was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between Styles and Mysterio, with Styles keeping the pace of the match. Mysterio hits a Hurricane Rana on AJ on the outside, followed by AJ sending Dom over the announce table. Dom then gets in the ring with AJ Styles, hits a 3 Amigos, paying homage to the late, great Eddie Guerrero, followed by Dominic Mysterio hitting a frog splash off the top rope for a near fall. Styles gets up, hits a Styles Clash on Mysterio for a near fall, but Grande Americano comes out of nowhere and attacks AJ Styles. This allows Dominic Mysterio to hit another frog splash off the top rope on Styles, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still Intercontinental Champion, is Dominic Mysterio. Hats off to Dominic Mysterio for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got CM Punk. CM Punk comes down to the ring after he found out that Seth Rollins was in the building. Punk was patiently waiting for Rollins all night in the back parking lot. He gets word from Pierce that Rollins is in the building. So Punk then storms the ring, grabs a microphone. Punk says that he's taking over the show until Rollins comes out to the ring. After that, Rollins' music hits, but there's no sign of Rollins. Instead, we get Becky Lynch. Punk says that he has nothing to do with Becky. Becky then praises Rollins and hypes up Seth Rollins. Punk then calls Rollins a coward, followed by Becky saying that she began a revolution. She also says that she is the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Punk says that he's best in the world. Punk says that Rollins hides behind his wife, just like he hides behind the Vision. After that, Punk says that Becky married a bum. Then we see Seth Rollins standing on the stage mocking CM Punk. Then he walks off to the back. Becky then slaps CM Punk in the middle of the ring. Becky also says that Punk is pathetic. Punk then grabs a microphone and says Becky is going to regret putting hands on him. Some interesting stuff there between CM Punk and Becky Lynch. Moving on from that, we got the main event of Monday Night Raw. It's a tag team matchup. It is Jey Uso teaming up with LA Knight to take on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. The match itself, it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between both teams with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker keeping the pace of the match. Jey hits a spear in the middle of the ring, followed by LA Knight hitting a BFT in the middle of the ring. Jey Uso then hits a Uso splash for a near fall, followed by Jey hitting a spear on Bronson Reed. But Braun Breaker ends up hitting a spear on Jey Uso in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are the Vision. Hats off to the Vision for getting the win in this matchup. A couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Monday Night Raw before I get the hell up out of here. Number one, was it a solid Raw? I think it was a solid Raw in the aspect of the fact that this was right after Clash in Paris. And we all saw what happened at Clash in Paris. Now, do I think Clash in Paris was one of their best events of all time? No, I do not. But just like I said in my Clash in Paris review, obviously there is a huge elephant in the room, and that being Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch honestly had one hell of a weekend with what she did by partaking and getting involved in the matchup in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship, ultimately costing CM Punk the World Heavyweight title by helping out Seth Rollins. And then we get to tonight, Monday Night Raw, where she interrupts CM Punk. She gets face-to-face with Punk. Her and Punk have an interaction, a little banter back and forth. She ends up putting hands and slapping CM Punk. And this all ultimately enrages CM Punk, where he tells Becky Lynch that she is going to regret putting hands on him. So it's got, the internet world, the wrestling world, I would say, starting to think. Starting to get ideas as far as what the hell is really going on here between CM Punk and Becky Lynch. A lot of people have been speculating, myself included. This is how I think it's going to happen, and then what should happen at this juncture of this storyline here between Rollins and Punk, because seemingly, ever since CM Punk returned back to WWE after leaving AEW, Rollins has been pissed off at the world that CM Punk walked back to the doors of WWE, and it's been his goal and his mission to do everything that he can to make CM Punk's life a living hell while he's in WWE, specifically Monday Night Raw. They had a couple matches now, between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. They've been at each other's throats for quite some time now. And I mentioned in the past, I think it was about a month or two ago, when it pertains to Rollins and Punk, is how was this going to play out? This is one of the biggest storylines going on Monday Night Raw. These two guys legitimately hate each other. They do not like each other. They despise one another. We've seen matches with each one of these guys. Now it's to a point where, okay, where do we go from here? Do we get an I Quit match? Do we get a loser leaves town match or a loser leaves Raw match? How is this storyline going to intensify between Rollins and Punk? How is it going to get better and better and better? And now I think we got that. With Rollins incorporating Becky Lynch into this storyline and bringing her in ultimately into the Vision as the fourth member, seemingly. The only other result of this would be CM Punk reaching out to his wife, I believe, being AJ Lee, a former WWE superstar who had wrestled for WWE quite some time ago. This would set up that match, taking place at WrestlePalooza September 20th, where you would have Rollins teaming up with Becky to take on CM Punk and AJ Lee. That is the match to make. And there's a lot of ramifications with this matchup. I mean, obviously, we all knew that Clash in Paris was the last PLE for Peacock. Peacock is only going to be showcasing Saturday Night's Main Event and NXT PLEs moving forward. So there's no more main roster pay-per-views that are going to be showcased on Peacock moving forward. WrestlePalooza will be the first ever PLE on the ESPN brand. It's a huge deal. It's a huge business move for WWE as well as ESPN, and it gets eyeballs on WWE's product from around the world. This is a monumental event. Not only is it monumental, they're bringing back an old ECW event, paying homage to ECW by bringing in WrestlePalooza, And they're also going head-to-head with AEW that same day. I'm telling you guys right now, man, that WWE is pulling all the punches leading up to this event. I know a lot of people, specifically about the CM Punk and Becky Lynch stuff, a lot of people are pointing the finger at Nikki Bella that might join CM Punk, or it might be Rhea Ripley. My belief with Rhea is this. I think Rhea is great, number one. But I think Rhea is going to be going into a program with Asuka. I think there's going to be some kind of storyline here between Asuka and Rhea Ripley. There's some unfinished business there, and we can start pushing that storyline between Rhea and Asuka. Nikki Bella, with all due respect to Nikki, I think Nikki, after losing the match against Becky for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at Clash in Paris, it wasn't like she lost by disqualification. She lost by disqualification. She lost clean. I think Nikki needs to go back of the line and build up some more wins and be more of a, number one contender, if you will, than what she just got at Clash in Paris. I feel like that was kind of a gift, if you will, to Nikki Bella since she's returned back to WWE. I think Nikki needs to go in the back of the line. I think she needs to build up some more wins and be, a strong competitor or a new number one contender for the Women's Intercontinental Championship when the time comes. I do not want to see Nikki Bella teaming up with CM Punk. To me, it just doesn't make sense to me. This has to be AJ Lee. You see, and the thing of it is Adam Pearce and CM Punk had a little banter back and forth backstage where Punk had asked Pearce where SmackDown's going to be, and Pearce told him that it's going to be in Chicago. And it seemed like Punk's going to be there this Friday night. And obviously, I believe CM Punk still lives in the Chicago area. So this is going to be a can't miss SmackDown for a lot of people. This event has to be with AJ Lee. There's just no other and buts bit about it. We have to get AJ Lee teaming up with CM Punk. It's the only thing that makes logical sense with this story right now, now that Rollins incorporated Becky Lynch. It only makes sense. And for what it's worth, I mean, like I said, with them having this first PLE on ESPN, it's a huge deal for both WWE and ESPN. And on top of that, they're going head-to-head with AEW. And I can tell you right now that Triple H and Nick Khan are going to do everything they can to kind of stick it to AEW. That way, WWE and WrestlePalooza is the talk of the town. And for what it's worth, man, the card is slowly stacking up to be one of the most incredible PLEs that we've seen in quite some time. You got the announcement of Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky for the vacant Women's World Heavyweight Championship. There's rumblings of Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes for the Universal title. There's rumblings of John Cena versus Brock Lesnar on this card as well. Again, a possible mixed tag team matchup with Rollins teaming up with Becky versus CM Punk and AJ Lee. I mean, if that's the road that we're looking into and that's the way that we're going leading into WrestlePalooza, this card's going to be absolutely stacked. Absolutely stacked from top to bottom. And honestly, I would not be surprised if these are the matches that are lined up for WrestlePalooza. It's going to be a monumental event, to be honest with you. And because they're going head-to-head with AEW on that same day, where AEW has their all-out pay-per-view live from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, or Toronto, Canada. They're going head-to-head. You know what I mean? And WWE has a tendency to really stick it to AEW to show them that who's the top dog in town. They're trying to run them out of business, man, whether people like it or not. They don't want AEW around. And they want to be the main vocal point, definitely going into the weekend. So what better way to do that than start showcasing and highlighting these high-profile matches leading into WrestlePalooza? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, man, if it is AJ Lee, and they say hypothetically she shows up on SmackDown in Chicago, the roof is going to blow off that goddamn place. You want to talk about a holy shit moment, it's going to be that. And honestly, I think CM Punk and Rollins need that. They need this. Because like I said, at the end of the day, where is this storyline going between Rollins and Punk? At this point. I mean, these guys have been at each other's throats since Punk walked through the fucking door. Rollins don't want his ass there. He wants Punk to get the fuck out and don't let the door kick you in the ass on the way out. He don't want him there. And that's the narrative that we've all seen. Rollins can give a rat's ass whether CM Punk, is unemployed or not with WWE. He don't give a shit, man. And we all saw the reaction when CM Punk made his debut. I think it was Survivor Series. And Rollins was a part of that match, and he was fucking pissed off. You know what I mean? So obviously, clearly, there's some legit heat there between Rollins and Punk. He just doesn't like him. They'll do business together, yeah, because it is big business. They're making their money, absolutely. And like CM Punk said himself, he's there to not make friends, but to win championships and make money. Well, he ain't won really. He won that championship for 30 seconds until he got cashed in on, but he's making his fucking money. So it's a money match, man. It's a high-profile matchup that people want to see. And there's other things too from Monday Night Raw that people were okay with and not okay with. Jey Uso. A lot of people, honestly, were legitimately kind of pissed off that Jey was a part of this Fatal 4-Way for the World Heavyweight title. And, Jay's got a lot of heat from it, from a lot of other people. And then you have other people praising Jey. I'll be the first and one of the first people on the ship by myself, stating, and I have stated, that Jey Uso has busted his ass to get the opportunities that he's gotten. I said it when he won the Intercontinental Championship, when I believe we beat Braun Breaker, and the opportunity he got by finally beating Gunther and becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. He busted his ass to get there, and also winning the Royal Rumble that year to get that opportunity. Jey busted his ass to get there. I'm not taking anything away from Jey Uso, but I wouldn't have rushed him right back into a World Heavyweight Championship match the way they did, to be honest. And they could have made this a triple threat match with Rollins, LA Knight, and CM Punk and called it a day. But that's not the way that they went about it going into Clash of Paris. So, and then, obviously Roman getting injured after the matchup that he had against Bronson Reed, with Breaker pretty much taking him out. And, obviously he's going to be taking some time off. I mean, a lot of people are speculating that we might not see Roman until WrestleMania. He was already on a legitimate part-time schedule as it was. It was a very limited schedule that he was on. And now with him being written off TV because he's, being a part of I think it's a Street Fighter movie that's coming out probably next year or the year after that. He's a part of that movie. He has a role in that movie, and he will be a part of that movie. So now he's, getting ready for that role that he will be playing in that movie. So he's going to be taking some significant time off, and we might not see him until WrestleMania. Who knows? So, there was a lot going into Clash in Paris, a lot going out. I mean, like I said, obviously Becky Lynch was the huge elephant in the room. She stole the weekend with what she did, getting involved in the Royal Heavyweight Championship matchup, and obviously her slapping the piss out of CM Punk on Monday Night Raw. But my belief is what I think they should do is somehow incorporate AJ Lee into this storyline. Absolutely. Because at that moment, man, I mean, you want to talk about people going, holy shit, it would be AJ Lee showing up in Chicago for SmackDown. It would be. Absolutely. Or, I mean, even CM Punk announcing it would be a big fucking deal to have the return of AJ Lee. Absolutely. And, with, like I said, with WWE going head-to-head with AEW that same day between WrestlePalooza and All Out, you don't think for one second that WWE's not going to pull out all the stops to kind of, stick it back to AEW and be like, hey, fuck y'all? Yeah, man. Absolutely. This is a fucking business. This is how shit works. It's a dog-eat-dog world, man, and they don't want to see them people. Triple H and Nick Khan want to see AEW die, whether people like it or not. They don't like AEW for abundance of reason. They don't like them because the contracts for the superstars in AEW are getting paid way too high, and WWE can't match them. That's one of the big reasons. On top of them being another wrestling company in the States. WWE wants to be the sole number one professional wrestling company throughout the entire world. Absolutely. I'm not saying they can't. They got the talent and the money to do that. Absolutely. It's a global brand. And like I said before, as far as the business aspect of WWE, man, they've been hitting it on all cylinders. Like I mentioned, I mean, there's no more PLEs on Peacock as far as main roster PLEs. And the only thing that we have now to look forward to is September 20th, where WWE is going to present WrestlePalooza for the first time ever on ESPN. This is a huge deal. It's a huge, monumental business deal between WWE and ESPN, where you're going to see ESPN analysts, talk about WrestlePalooza on SportsCenter, on ESPN. I'm sure that's going to be something that they're going to be talking about and incorporating into their show. So it's going to get more eyeballs on the product for WWE and vice versa, where you're going to have wrestling fans who don't watch sports tune into ESPN, and then you're going to have sports fans that might tune in to WWE even though they're not, wrestling fans. Like, hey, what the hell is this? Let's check this out. But if I was also AEW, and this is the other thing too, I know there's been speculation and talks about the whole AEW HBO Max shit. This would be something where if I was Tony Khan and the powers that be within Time Warner and Warner Media, would be the time that I would introduce the first ever pay-per-view on HBO Max for September 20th, considering the fact that WWE is going to have their first event on ESPN. Absolutely. And this is something that, this HBO Max shit with AEW, it's not something new. This has been talked about since January and the beginning of this year. We're just now starting to get a little bit more traction with it now, when it was announced a couple weeks ago or last week that, conversations are starting to build up a little bit between, of the whole pay-per-views being on HBO Max. And they should be. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been one of the ones that have been preaching that for the longest time since it was announced in January. Why are we not getting pay-per-views at a discounted rate on HBO Max? You know what I mean? Honestly, at this point. So it's going to be an interesting weekend, September 20th, man. And like I said, the way it's starting to shape up, I mean, that WrestlePalooza card, man, is going to be absolutely incredible. If it's going to be going the way it's going, the way I think it's going, that card is going to be absolutely insane. You're talking about Drew, Rhodes, possible John Cena versus Lesnar, Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky. You got mixed tag team matchup between Rollins and Becky taking on Punk and AJ Lee. That's just to name a couple of matches, man. I mean, it's going to be a stacked card from top to bottom. And why not? Like I said, they're going head-to-head with AEW. That same day, same night. With All Out and WrestlePalooza. And what better way to do that to bring in someone like AJ Lee to really, spice shit up, especially in the storyline here between Rollins and CM Punk. But with that being said, this is my review of Monday Night Raw. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.